Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is the Protego Foundation, and you can help me help the animals in a few ways. First is just watch my stream this month and bring your friends, because I'll be making a donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. You can also donate to our fundraiser here on Twitch. It's actually a continuation of last year's fundraiser, so it shows $10 of $20 raised. We raised $10 last year, and so we're aiming for another $10 to total $20 raised over the 2 years that this fundraiser has happened in December. The last way you can help is find that link there in my Twitch About page and visit the Protego Foundation website and donate there. It is Thursday, so I am going to be continuing with some illustration work. This is part of my Maginaturalist sketchbook series, where I am going through my encyclopedia of magical creatures, choosing the first entry of each letter as we go through the alphabet, and illustrating it in a small 4 by 6 inch, well in this case 6 by 4 because it's landscape, inch postcard size ink, black and white ink drawing. So we are on the E, so the first entry under E is Ea, who is a Mesopotamian Babylonian sea god, and based on the various description in his entry, this is what I've come up with for his illustration. I'm going to be finishing it in Photoshop because there's so much area all around him, basically all the negative space, that I wanted to be pitch black. And instead of filling that in with ink, I thought I'd just save some materials, also save time, and save me the potential of smearing ink or spilling it, and just doing that digitally. So I got this scanned in at the end of yesterday's stream, and the first thing I want to do is a little cleanup. It's got scanned in a little off kilter. So we want to turn that a little bit, and we're going to remove all these blue lines everywhere. I've already saved it as a Photoshop file, so we're good there. So, I just remembered, I don't think I flipped the sign on my door to say that I'm on air, so let me do that real quick. Okay. Just so if anyone needs anything, they know that I'm not available. The only other person here is my husband, and he might be watching. It only says one viewer. He often watched my stream, but it looks like I'm the only one right now. Okay, so let's start. I first want to just rotate this. So let's do, actually, this is what I forgot. I always make a copy of the background. It calls it background. I make a copy of the original scan and then don't touch it and just leave that. Just in case I do something terrible and save it and then I'm like, oh no, what do I do? Well, at least the original is there. I can start over from scratch. At least it's not a lost cause if I need to fix something terrible. I've never actually needed to use this, but it makes me feel good to have it there. Okay. Now that I have that other layer, and it's also easier because the background layer is always automatically locked. This layer is not locked, so I can do some, no, not image though. I just want to transform the layer, not the whole image. So we're going to do rotate, and I'm just going to go up here to this angle. I don't know if it'll have a little pop. It just says rotate. So that's what I want to set rotation. So it's a number of degrees. And I'm just going to press the down arrow key and tap it until it looks right. Luckily, it doesn't matter too much because the top and right lines here they're just going to disappear, or at least I'm going to erase them eventually. So even if this is not quite squared up, it's not going to be the end of the world if I can't get it. So I guess that's probably good. Let's hit enter and see what that looks like. Oh, I remember. There's a great way you can check. Just pull down from the rulers if you have it on, and then you can... Oh, look at that. You can see my decades of experience here. I eyeballed that, man. Did you see that? You did see it. It's recorded. Boom. Hooray. Okay. So, first step done. Let's save. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to do that again. Perfect lining it up just from visual input in my brain. Okay, so next, let's get rid of the blue lines. So the way I'm going to do that is first I'll change the levels, because this will get rid of some stuff all on its own. So I'm going to make the blacks really dark, but let's make the whites really white. It's also going to get rid of, as you can see here, I continued on in my sketchbook. It's vellum finish paper, which means it's somewhat translucent. So these are sketches from the next page. It's not on the back of this page. It's just seeing through to the next whole sheet of paper. So this is also, watch that magically disappear. It's also going to get rid of those. So I think that's probably good enough now. Let's make the blacks a little bit more black. Let's look at that. Okay, so that says step 1. Oh, the writing here is very thin. That's okay. Click OK. Now we're going to desaturate the image. Let's desaturate. And we just got to do, I wonder if it, okay, hold on. I think I did that in the opposite order I normally do. I think I normally desaturate first. Yeah, and then that way the blue just goes away. Okay. This happens to me all the time. I can't remember my own levels. Can't remember my own workflow, but so we're gonna make the blacks black. Make the whites white until all or nearly all. So I might have to do a little bit of manual cleanup, because what I'm seeing is the letters that I've written down here, which are going to be part of the final image, are disappearing, but I can also increase the black really high, so that brings that back, but it's still getting pretty thin, so it might be better if I, yeah, it's not really bringing much back in the text anymore. And it's also not really getting rid of too much more either. Well, let's call this good. It's mostly got it, and the rest that it hasn't, like say right here, this little dot here, and this is like a little inclusion in the paper, I think. We'll clean those up with a eraser tool. So this is good. Whee! That's not all though. So first, I didn't like how this writing for Persian Gulf came out. So I'm just going to take brush tool and write over it with white so that it disappears. Whee! And next, I want to pull these black lines from the white background so that we have a transparent background. For that, I always just have to use this tutorial. You just saw how I couldn't even remember which steps a two-step process goes in, so this is a more than two-step process, so I always use this tutorial. Extracting scanned line art for digital coloring. And I like to show this so that, hold on a second, my donation extension is, I have a charity donation extension, but it's like, you can get a donation if you buy something here, but I'm not actually going to buy anything here, so I have to get rid of that. Okay, that's done. So, I just want to show you, this is the tutorial. It's on Clip Studio, so it's from Clip Studio Paint, and it's got Paint Tool Sci, what else? Oh, Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop for how to do this. So that is the tutorial I always use. And I also like to, so that it shows up in the little chat widget, post a link here so that anybody watching, especially the recording, anybody watching the recording might be interested in finding it. There's the URL there in the chat box. All right, now let me find the Photoshop version of this. Extracting line art, Clip Studio, Paint, and Sigh. Okay, here we go. Photoshop. So first, cut line art. So we're going to say select all and cut. So that's Control A and then Control X. Then you create a new channel. Whoop. And then you paste. Okay. Now go to Selection, Load Selection. Well, it's Select now. Let's go to Select and go to Load Selection. And this one is important. You want it to say invert here. I'm going to double check everything else. That looks right. So we're going to click OK. So as you can see, there's a marquee around the black lines. So that means that's what's been selected. Now, create a new layer from the Layers panel. And edit fill. And we don't want pattern, we want it to fill with black. And let me check these settings. That is off. Okay, good. And then click OK. Boom! So we can delete this layer now because it's empty. I'm going to name this layer Lines. And we'll Control D to deselect. Sweet. I believe because there were empty pixels, it may have created some, yeah, it created some black over here. So let's erase that first. We'll just go to eraser. Oh, and get that one while we're at it. There's going to be some more, a lot more stuff than this to get, but I'm just getting what I can see right now. I have a nice trick that I like to do. Oh, here's some more. Because we rotated it, it became empty pixels, and then that ended up getting selected. And I might miss some, but that's okay, because my trick is going to catch it all. Gotta catch it all, Photoshop. Yep, this last one on the top. Okay, so the trick I do is go to Layer, Layer Style, and add a stroke. I want it to be a wild and crazy color so it's easy to see. So I actually don't want yellow because that's hard to see against white. Alright, that's good. So what I've done is basically reveal stuff like this little dot. We don't need that. So now let's go through the image and look for those little bonus dots to take care of. It can be kind of tough. You gotta look for a little bit extra sticking out. Of course, it would probably be easier if I created another background. Put BG for background and just fill it in with white. Yay! Get back to eraser tool. And I'm not even using my tablet yet. I'm just using the mouse for this stuff. This is just cleanup stuff. Then we'll do a little more fine detail using the tablet later. It's like right here, I'll clean this up with the tablet. There's a little bit sticking out right there. For now, I'm just focusing on the big obvious ones like this. a bit more with the tablet. Oh, I didn't go all the way down. I didn't go all the way down here. Oh, that's okay. There was nothing there. I feel like I might have missed a little strip here. So I'm going to double check. No, looks alright. It looks alright. Okay. Alright. I'm going to make this stroke smaller, because a lot of it is doing this kind of thing, where it's meeting the stroke from the other line, and it makes it a little harder to see if there's maybe, like, here we go, right here, this was hidden. Show it again. Oh, well, it wasn't hidden. I just didn't notice it because it was like, oh, so much green here. I didn't notice it. It wasn't totally hidden, but now it's much more obvious. So now I am going to rearrange my physical workspace, moving my keyboard over to my right and my mouse, and pulling my tablet into my lap. I have one of those great walk-home tablet monitors that function as a monitor, and then you can draw directly on it. It's the most natural tablet, like intuitive, natural tablet you can have. Okay, this is good. And his ear was pretty messy, so clean that up. I did a little bit too much. There's a tiny bit. Get right there. Okay. Oh, inside this fishy's eye. Go around the eye a little bit too, with some strategic erasing. So a lot of this stuff is leftover blue that didn't get erased, and that's why it's on the end of all of these. This is where that blue guideline was. there's more all around on the bottom. Also tackling some of these lines that came out really square. I think a lot of that is from working with the levels and making them so extreme. Kind of a maze trying to look at all of these lines and find little spots. So it goes a lot slower than it feels like it should. But I like taking my time so that I'm not annoyed later when I encounter some huge area that before I didn't even notice, but now that I'm at this point in the process, I feel like, how could I have missed this? So that's why I take my time here. Because it's a bit jarring to have to stop the process that you're currently working on, say like coloring or shading, and go back and mentally rewind and get your brain to start thinking about a different step and doing a different step, like this kind of cleanup erasing. So it's much easier for me if I can get it all done, carefully work on it, and get it all done at once, and then I can just move on and my brain doesn't have to switch gears. So these couple lines that I just erased were for telling the story a bit more effectively. This line right here is meant to be underneath this area, but it was coming out a little bit because that's where physically the ink met and then it stuck out. So I erased it so that this line is where it ends, because it's supposed to be blocked by the arm here. So the same thing was happening here. This is supposed to be an upper part of the body, but this fin, which is below, was still coming out as if it was on top of the body. Ah, here's that one on the tail that wasn't quite hidden, but it felt like it was hidden. Awesome. We're in the last section. There's so much going on in this fish, but there's definitely areas I want to clean up, so I'm looking very carefully. I like to make sure to give the same amount of attention to the least important part of the image. Because even if the viewer will never really look there, it still does a really important supporting role And I learned that from experience when I'd create work and then had this grand idea about how it would be. And then I'd be disappointed with the end result even though I put so much work into it. And I realized it's because I was focusing on the part that you like to look at the most and neglecting those supporting characters. And then the overall image wasn't what I imagined or wasn't what I hoped it would be. I rarely actually imagine an image and then make it as imagined. I just kind of have an idea and then what it ends up being is actually a surprise to me too by the end. If you compare to what I originally imagined, which is this sort of a hazy idea, and then what the end result is, even I don't know exactly what it's going to be. But I know the impact I want to have. That's something I've always known. I know what kind of impact I want to make. And I was disappointed for a long time until I figured that out. Oh, you have to give just as much attention to the background, to little objects, and things that you honestly don't really care about. But it all comes together and it's worth it to put that attention in. You have to love your whole image, even if you're the only one who does so. I think I've got it all. So scoot down a little bit to these letters, but I wasn't really seeing anything around the letters. They're looking pretty good. I mean, this E did end up being a little thin, but that's okay. Let's save. That was a lot of work. Just about halfway into the first hour of work here. Next, I think I'm going to lift up my tablet and get back to keyboard and mouse work because I want to size this image. It will actually be a bit bigger than 4 by 6 because the sketch part I've been making 4 by 6. Well, in this case 6 by 4. But then I decided, oh, it would be cool to write these information on here. So that actually makes it a bit taller. Let's see. Maybe I'll just crop. No, why does it do that? Don't do that. I hate that if I click here, I'm just clicking. I'm not even dragging. It does crazy stuff. I just want it to stay maximized. Don't do anything. I like to click up here to get the menus to go away. So like this. Say I've got like this. No, wait, that one doesn't work. Okay, I've got like this, but I don't actually want to select one. I just want to go back. So I click up here. And then sometimes it goes out of, oh, now it's in maximize mode, I think. Man, I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, this isn't right, because look at this. It's behind my toolbar. Why, Photoshop? It always used to work like this, but now, and maybe it's Windows. Might not be Photoshop. I was ragging on Photoshop, but it might be Windows doing that. Anyway, that's why I was annoyed by that just now. That was crazy. I don't know if it happened to you, but turning off that green made these lines look super purple for a minute. Woo! Well, purple, it was more like a fuchsia, which is the opposite of that kind of bright neon green. Okay, here we go. Let's trim this. Going to... Oh, but maybe we can't yet. Yep. What should I do? Oh, I know. First I'll trim from side to side at least. So we'll trim from side to side. Oh, but I gotta leave enough room here. Blast it! Ooh, I know. Haha! Hold on. I'm gonna turn this on. That original layer. Put this at only, oops, 50. Turn that off. So now I can see where this border was. Hooray! Although it's not rotated, but we can use it as a general guide for the side-to-side size. So I don't want to cut out the letters yet. So I want to be able to move them. We just want the side-to-side. The lateral, I think the term would be. The lateral image to be cropped. We'll leave a little bit of space just so these lines aren't cut off. I'll crop them when I make it into postcards for Patreon. But for now, we'll just leave it like this. Then we can turn this back off. Put this back up to 100%. So the reason I wanted to get this trimmed on the sides was so that I can center this and then arrange these nicely according to what the edges are. And here I couldn't tell what the edge was because I removed that blue line. So now I'm going to select this and also shift this, Control X to cut, and then we're going to do edit, paste, special, paste in place, and we're going to Control A to select the entire canvas, go to the move tool and click this, which centers it horizontally. Now Control D to deselect. I'm going to put a rectangle marquee around the date there and just tap it up with my arrow keys. Okay, deselect. And we'll do the same thing with A up, but again, I need to see that original line to see where I wanted the top to be. I wanted that extra white space. There. Deselect. We'll just turn this background back on. Now we just got to do the same thing. So we'll do Persian Gulf first because it'll be easier. We could see what the edge is supposed to be. Here we don't even have to make a new layer, we can just move it like this. Select and do the same thing on the other side, but again we're going to turn the original layer back on so we can see where the edge is. That's pretty good. Deselect. Now I'm going to take a guideline, just check the height. The way I wrote this rises up, and then this one's like, whew. But it's generally along the same line. Again, this is supposed to be a sketchbook, and for the Maginaturalist to be sketching someone in the ocean, she was probably on a rocking ship anyway, so it's fine if it's wee wee. So that's good. The lines are done. Let's do Control E here to bring the Aya and the date back in with the lines layer so it's all back together. So now I am going to trim one more time. Oh, in fact, I don't even need to do what I just did because I can now use the letters to trim the canvas size. So we already got the sides figured out. I'm going to leave enough space at the top and bottom. I want to crowd the stuff that's at the edges, especially with a black and white image like this. That's good. But I think I'll end up doing the same thing I have been, because while I wanted to use Photoshop to get a nice solid black faster and with less chance of mess or smudging, I don't want it to be all perfect around the edges. I want it to look like I painted it. So I'm going to put this back at 50% opacity. Get that background back on. Although it's kind of tough because this one isn't rotated. Could just rotate it, but I made that other one so I wouldn't have to. I'll just make a copy and rotate that. Control T to transform, and let's just rotate it until it seems to match. I don't remember what number I took it to. I don't know if I'm rotating it the right direction either. Oh, I think I am. Just rotating it until the lines look like they're matching with one another. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. Alright, that's probably good enough. Regardless of if it's exactly the same or not. The blue lines are now square enough. Squared up enough. Okay, time to go back to tablet drawing. Oh, this time, before I block my little desktop drawer again, getting out my tablet glove. I don't know if you're hearing that. Eve was breathing really heavily into her arm. You can see her cuddled up there in the top right camera, puppy cam. Usually when she starts breathing hard while napping, it means she's having a dream. Okay, so I just got pure black and what kind of brush do I want? I want to have some texture. This isn't dark enough because these lines have texture, but of course I can't replicate what the lines look like. Oh, this is an eraser. I hate that. And it switches tools. That's a thing that it didn't used to do. Oh, that's one I tried already. So I'm not used to it. Charcoal pencil. Oh, right. Never mind. These might work. I forgot I'm on 50% opacity. Okay, I better test while I'm on 100% so I can be sure of what it's doing. This actually looks pretty good. It's a little bit more textured. Let's try a few next to each other. So we've got the Pastel Palooza, which I use a lot. But that's a little too much. The charcoal is better. We've got Happy HB, which is a pencil size. Maybe if we make it bigger than that. I don't like that's too much texture. What about Ultimate Pencil Hard? No, let's do this one. This one's the closest to that texture I'm seeing right there. So that was the charcoal pencil. I'm doing my best to give this a hand-drawn look. well, a hand-drawn physical media look. Because it's definitely hand-drawn either way. But I don't want these edges to be perfect. I specifically do not want them to be perfect. I want them to have a similar kind of texture to the existing ink lines. And I don't want them to be perfectly straight because it would have been so easy to just create a rectangle marquee and then fill it in. That's not really what I want to do. Oh, it looks so cool. So even if some of this area ends up having a few little unfilled pixels, I'm totally fine with that because that adds to the feeling of this being done all in physical media. But as I've mentioned before on this stream, I wanted to save time and materials and also eliminate the chance of smearing or spilling when working with such a huge amount of ink as this would take. Those chances are real. And I have had accidents. Big blops of ink dropping right in the middle of your page, you know. So to avoid that, just bringing this into digital. I had this on 50% opacity, but it didn't strike me that I don't really need to do that because this is transparent anyway. I just got a text message from one of my high school buddies. I couldn't read the whole thing because it's just it was on my garment, so I couldn't read the whole thing. But it sounds like he got his birthday card, so I'm happy about that. He's occasionally joined us here on Twitch. His name is Sketchy here. So here I've got to be careful. Pay attention to what is what. I think this big chunk should be filled in too. Make a brush a bit bigger. Ooh, it's tearing my arm out. That's a little too much. Okay. Let's keep moving up on this side, and then we'll come back down to the middle. Oops, I think I covered, yeah, I colored inside the fin a little bit. Oopsie. It throws me off when I see this little black mark here because I keep thinking, no, why is that there again? I cleaned that up. But that's from the bonus layer underneath that I made, just so that I can see this blue outline. There, it's covered up, so I don't have to think about it anymore. I did clean it up. Moving up, moving up. The nice thing with digital is, even if I'm working really hard and like my tablet is shaking a little bit from the energy I'm putting into it right now, you don't see it. You don't see it on the stream. So when I do that on my physical media workspace, at my physical media workspace, the camera is jiggling all around. It's like you're on a roller coaster or something. Oops, I think I added a little bit too much. Let's make this smaller for over here. All right, here's another moment where I've got to really think about what each section is here. This we'd see through, but this is his back. This is see-through. Guess we could finish this top line first. Oh, went way too far up. Not that far up. Minutes till break time. We're on a really good pace because I wanted to have these be December's Patreon rewards. My patrons who are signed up for physical rewards get copies of all my new illustration work, and many of them have been signed up long enough that they have gotten all of these Maginaturalist sketchbook pieces. So this is going to be number 5 to add to their collections. I don't talk up my Patreon very much. I don't really talk up anything. I'm just focusing on making artwork on my streams, but if you're interested, Patreon is the best way that you can support my art making, because for one, of all the places where you can support me, they take the least amount of cut out of your donations. And then for two, the sustained support means that I can rely on that little bit of income so that when I need new art supplies or something unexpected happens and I want to enter an art show or something, I know that I've got that to rely on. And then it also just gives me a huge psychological boost, because I don't consider it any small thing for someone to support me in that way. So it makes me feel really good that what I make is meaningful, that people like it, that I'm connecting with people. So if you're interested, please check out my Patreon page. Sign up if you like, and if you don't want physical rewards, there's a tier just for digital rewards only. And that's actually the number one way to support my work, because there's none of that goes toward producing the physical rewards. So there's none lost to the production of the physical rewards, because it takes, I can't remember the exact amount, but I have to buy the ink and the paper, and neither are cheap because I use high quality archival art materials when I create these rewards. So the digital rewards only tier is actually not cost effective. What's the term? I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate everyone who has signed up there. And it really gives me focus too, because past me wanted to make lots of work throughout the year, but I'd always find some excuse to do something else, or update my portfolio site, or organize my studio, and then I'd be disappointed at the end of the year because I only made 2 illustrations. And that happened over and over and over. Now, I have folks that are expecting something in their mailbox, and I am happy to oblige. It really helps me stay motivated. And staying motivated and keeping more work and continuing to make more work means that my skills continue to grow and improve as well. So that's another thing that Patreon members are doing for me, is helping me grow my skills just by helping me create more and more work. So that's really the only way you can get good. You've got to keep practicing. And it can be really hard to stay motivated. Okay, I believe this is also supposed to be black here. It's the space in between his body and the arm. And this, and his hair, and this ray there. But this is all the ray. But right here, there's some more of the black, unseeable abyss of the ocean floor somewhere deep, deep, deep below. Let's save real quick. Just notice my fans are running a little faster than they were earlier. Whenever that happens, I always think, oh no, what if my Photoshop crashes? I guess that must have happened in the past, because that's what I always think. It's not like it crashes every time, but it just makes me suspicious. I'm going to save, just in case that does happen. Sweet. We are almost done filling this in. Here's another little spot. It's looking so much better. Look over in the navigator. My top right in my Photoshop. The figures are standing out so much better. Just want to straighten this out a little bit. There. Save again. Fans picked up again. Okay, we just have this last little corner. I think. I'm going to zoom out and double check, but I'm pretty sure this is what we've got left. Whew. Shake out my arm for a minute. Oh, perfect. It's actually exactly break time. My arm was like, if you don't stop, I'll stop for you. So this is perfect. I will just take a little break and come back and finish this off. So I hope everybody else will also take the opportunity to get up if you can, walk around, stretch, look at something off in the distance to give your eyes a break, get a snack or a drink. I'm going to turn my be right back sign on and be back in about 5 minutes. everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a great break. I'm back and ready to finish this up. There's actually not that much left, so I might end the stream early. To be honest, I'm feeling pretty stressed out. It's just the holiday season. The end of the year always ends up being really draining. I love it. It's my favorite time of year, but it's also sometimes really hard. So I think a little extra time to relax today would not be unwelcome. But I'm not going to rush through this or anything, so if it takes me the whole stream, then so be it. There's really not that much left to do. After this, I think I shall see if there's anywhere on this image where I would like to add some detail, mostly with hatching. And then other than that, it's just get it into the Patreon postcard format. I didn't used to do that on stream, but when the opportunity is there, I have been, and I think it's nice to be able to show it because I have been including these videos on my updates on Patreon saying that the next batch of rewards is going out, and that way anyone receiving them can actually see them get formatted. You don't see them get printed because I don't have a camera by my printer, but can at least see how they get turned into a postcard. Okay, I'll turn this background copy off and turn the background white on. And I wanted to do that because, as you can see, there's a little bit of missed areas here and there. Because I had that original scan, which was not cleaned up, as the guideline. So I could see those blue lines for the overall edges. In fact, at this point, I won't use the textured brush anymore. I'll just go to regular old, this kind of brush, hard round pressure size. We're just filling in those extra bits. I don't mind if there is an empty pixel here and there throughout the whole black background, but when it's specifically along the edges, that just looks unfinished. Did a decent job though. And I love these edges. It's exactly what I hoped. Oh look, I missed a whole spot. There, boom, got it. This is meant to be his beard, so this stays white. More edge pixels. But not as bad as it could be. think we're back to where we started. Guess there's one there. Of course, at postcard size, those little tiny pixels probably won't even be caught by the printer. They're so small. Because each dot of ink from the inkjet printer is so big, it can only get so small. These are way smaller than what it will be. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Look at this little fish right here. Okay. Yeah, we've got all these different fish too. Let's look at it smaller. What I'm seeing is that his whole body, actually I'm going to turn my overhead light off real quick because it's reflecting on the screen on my monitor. And I'm seeing his whole body is really blending in with his hair. So I either want to darken his body with some hatching or do it with his hair. Honestly, I think it'll be easier to do it with the hair. So with the body, I'll have to be especially careful of highlighting and the different curves and contours, but the hair, including his facial hair, is all kind of doing one thing, just this long wavy thing. Plus, right now there are small lines on the body to help indicate different body parts, like the curve in his spine, his elbows, the fins on his back. But in the hair, there's not really anything, so there would be nothing being obscured if I add hatching there. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it on a separate layer so that if I need to erase, I won't be erasing something that I want to keep. And I want to do, so we'll go back to the charcoal pencil. Let me see. It's about right, maybe a bit bigger. I want it to be about the same width as the pen that I use for the inking. Yeah, that's a little smaller. For the inking with the physical media, we'll do that one. It was just one pen and it does not have very much flexibility, so all the lines end up being about the same width. So I wonder if I can actually change the settings here. Just wanted to see if I could change how much it... What's this do? Oh, okay. Maybe I do it up here. There's flow. Okay. I change flow to be higher and we turn off the airbrush effect. Oh yeah, that's a bit big actually. Let's go down to 30 if I can drag it to about that size. Okay. Oops, we'll go back. Okay. I just wish it was a little bit less texture. Happy HB. Put this one up to about 30. No. Ultimate pencil hard. Nope. So just stick with this one. Put it up to about 30 pixels and just do that. Though I remember there is a way to combine brushes or something. Or maybe you can't do that here. Maybe that's only... smoothing options. What's this? Ooh, this is what I was looking for. Maybe this would be better. I want just a little texture on the sides, not a ton. Oh, look at that! Turn the scale down. Let me see. It's sticking out too much. It's too fuzzy. Maybe I actually want it bigger. But no. I think I don't like the texture that I picked. This is cool. Watercolor paper. I did these myself, but I've never used them. For this, artist surface illustration paper. That'll be really close. Taking the spacing down helps. What's this do? Ugh. What is this? Sample brush 2. Not bad. I don't like those really light bits on the edges though, but I guess that's how that brush works. Maybe that's just a setting. Let's look here. feel like we're getting there. Maybe if I turn the flow up. Okay, that's a lot closer. We don't really have very much texture on it. Ooh, really close. I don't know if this texture is really doing anything. Well, I guess it is. But it just seems to be making the brush smaller. Maybe the dual brush is more what I need to focus on. Oh, look at that! That's so close! Let's go with this. This is very close to the texture. Yeah! Hooray! Oh, that was worth it! Let us now start texturizing the hair. My chair is creaking, squeaking, and creaking. I'm purposefully trying to get a little variety in these hatching lines so that it sort of looks like light and dark as the seaweed-like hair flows through the water, catching light or not. this is meant to be his... Oh, didn't think I was touching it there. This is meant to be his beard. So I think I'll do the lines a little different down here so that they look lower in the scene. I'm going to take them all the way to the edge. I think that should help show that they're lower down. Or at the very least, it helps separate it from these ones that I've done this way. Want it to go onto his body. His body is on top, so that should not have lines from underneath showing. Man, I need to save this brush preset because this is a perfect match. Let me do that real quick. See if I can. Let's see. How do I save this? Brush settings. Maybe plus. Create new brush. Capture brush size and preset. So I will call this, if my keyboard will turn out. Come on. Come on screen keyboard. Thank you. Maginaturalist Sketchbook. Oh shoot, I'm in Japanese. I'll put that. Put it in English just for this. And where's the apostrophe? And then Sketchbook. Actually, I'll call it Maginaturalist's pen. Yeah. So that I know this is the one that matches with the tools that I'm using in physical media for this particular project. There. Hopefully that means it's saved for next time. Oh, look, the spot I missed right here. Got it now. I'm going to save the brush because I know I won't remember all those things that I did. I was just experimenting. Seeing what happened. No! Don't go all the way through. Hold on, that one didn't go. I want him to meet at each bounding line. Ding. If you're hearing any snoring, that's Chappie now. Little dog Chappie. Sweet, all the beard hair is done. Let's go back to, what do you call it? Crown hair? Head hair? His mane hair. Haha, his mane. His mane. My chair is so noisy now. It didn't used to make noise when I moved back and forth in it. Now it goes boop. Since this one is flowing under him, I should do it like the beard. And then bring it up so that it's no longer like the beard as it comes up to the top of the head. I think I shall do that. My chair really is so noisy now. It's going chuk, chuk, chuk. The heck, chair? Are you getting loose somewhere or something? That looks pretty cool. You can really see a difference. It really looks like this is lower. Less light is reaching it. And having the hatching on the hair versus the body helps the ray swimming so close to him and among his locks stand out more. Let's save. I'm looking at the whole image and seeing what I'd like to do, if anything. And right now I want to bring a little bit back here. Get a little rounder and wider as part of his tail. Maybe I will also add a little bit of ink right here. Now let's make the brush a bit smaller. Maybe not that last bit, it's a little too much. Maybe what I need to do is take a little away. That eraser's too big. And draw this finger a bit bigger. That's better, I think. Save. I guess that's a bit thick. Let's erase a bit. Oh, yeah, that's better. Save again. So the only thing that's still bothering me is on his head. Man, maybe I need to oil my chair. It's really squeaking a lot. It doesn't normally do that. But I'm going to go to his head. Right here, there's a lot of empty space, and it's kind of distracting. I'm going to try doing this area again. Too close to some of the lines there. No. I don't like that either. That's a lot better. Why does this one always be floppy? I don't want that one to be floppy. It's a good, nice straight line. Creaky chair. Okay, I think that's good. Let's make it really small. What the overall effect is. Yeah, let's call that good. Aya and the fish are standing out really nicely. I mean, this little ray is really clingy and maybe can't be told as easily apart compared to everyone else, but it's good to have overlap and not be everything perfectly, like over here everything is almost perfectly separated, so it's good to have like this little fellow peeking out and this one doing whatever they are doing. And these are pretty close together and an overlap happening here, so I think that's good. And then we have 3 different levels of darkness. We've got the bright white, and then we've got this texture here, and then the black for the background. Whoa, didn't mean to click that. Just want to go back up to 100%. Or at least fill the screen like this. I suppose maybe I could add a little bit of hatching just like on this edge right here to show that the ray is underneath him because his body is right here. Let's try that and see how that looks. I feel like that's the right idea, but it's something off about it. That could be good. Let's look at it small. I want to make this line match a little better with the corresponding line here. It's coming up so high, it feels like it doesn't actually meet. Like it's not actually going to meet with the line that it's supposed to visually. Oh, that's better. Aoife's snoring. Okay, I'm gonna leave that as is for the ray. I feel like if I add a bunch of hatching here, trying to show that the ray is being shadowed by Aya, it'll just get confusing because we already have all these hatch marks on the hair. So maybe I'm happy with how this is and I can call it good. Putting my monitor back up, my tablet monitor, and bringing my keyboard and mouse back over to me. I think I gotta see if there's somewhere I can put some WD-40 on this chair. Can't believe how squeaky it's become. I've only had it for a few months. But now, like, if I lean over, it's like... I started noticing it yesterday. It's getting a little bit annoying, to be honest. Okay, make sure I save that. So, since this I'm calling it, I feel like, yeah, I'm going to call it good. So, we'll only have 10 minutes left, so we'll just do this little follow-up stuff. First is create a layer with my custom shape. I want to use my circle logo one. Press shift so that it stays the correct ratio. Stick it in there. Put the fill onto white. And it fits perfectly down here in this corner. This way, if anybody finds this somewhere that's not attached to me, it'll be easy. They could just search Studio Mikarts and they can find me. This is just for the web version. This won't be on the Patreon rewards or anything. This is just for when I put it out on the internet and there's the chance that it might get swept away somewhere that I don't expect. Let's see. This is only at 33%. What I like to do is, what have I been saving these as actually? I do either 1,000 or 2,000 pixels wide. And I can't remember what I've been doing. Okay, I've been doing only 1,000 because these are 6 by 4 inches. So it doesn't need to be that big to be a nice representation. A nice digital representation of the original image. So 1,000 pixels wide on the longest side. So yeah, that's still plenty big. Kind of bothers me. There's bigger space here than here. Oh, should I change it? I think I will. Hold on, we're gonna go back. Go to this and grab this. Make it small because I could tell better. And we're just going to use the move tool. Tap it over a little bit so that the space in between Persian Gulf and the date and the time of day is a little more even. Even though that means the date is no longer centered with the main image, but I don't think you can tell because this is distracting anyway. So it looks better centered between these two sets of words. Let's save that. Okay, now let's go back to image size. 1,000. And file. Save a copy. We want to save the JPEG. It's got the ICC profile. And instead of copy, I'm just going to call it for web. And now we're going to take the image size away. And also I'm going to turn the seal off. So I'm just going to save a JPEG version of this. You never know when it comes in handy to just be able to access the JPEG instead of opening the Photoshop file. In fact, it'll probably be handy. Now when I open my postcard file to make it into postcard rewards for Patreon. So I'm going to open the last one I did, and we're going to save it as, save a copy actually, not save as, save a copy. And oh yes, we do want it to be Photoshop, but we're going to change this data so it's going to be the 12th one of the year. And instead of Cozy Christmas Coodlers, it is Maginaturalist. Maginaturalist Sketchbook. No, Aya. This one's Aya, not Ed. I wrote Ed. No, this one's not Da. Da was a couple months ago. This one's Aya. So now, this is saved, so we can put these writing layers in the trash because they're from last month. And we'll open the front, so we want to drag over. Yeah, that will actually be really helpful. So I'm going to open that. Just the plain old Aya. And then that way I don't have to worry about layers. It's just saved as a single layer. Drag that over. Plop that in there. Put it in the front folder. That's the front of the postcard. Then we can Control T to size it down. Oh yeah, and I gotta turn Snap back on. I turned Snap back on for this, and then I turned Snap off because let's see. Well, this doesn't fit nearly as well as the other ones. What should I do? Fits so much better having the text at the top, but this makes it so small. Wonder if I should just fill it in and not have the text. So that'll look nicer instead of having a ton of white space, you know? It's too bad to have to lose that, but having this size margins is much better than that huge margin that it would have been. We've got this little bit of black here, so I'm just going to use a brush to cover that up. So I don't want it printing a little, there, a little black splotch right there. This is what we're going to see. I can go to print, I think, and it'll show. So I have these white borders here because in order to print the small 4x6, it works way better. The art comes out much nicer looking if I leave a white border. So that's why I have these marked off. And it's actually a layer that I've created. So this one just won't have that information on it because it looks way better. I don't want to send something out like a full inch of it is blank just in order to fit those words in there. So overall, as a postcard, as some happy mail instead of junk mail to receive in your mailbox, I think this looks much better. So that's not all. I'm going to change back. Less than a minute, but this will be easy. All we have to do is change the title and change the media. It's no longer mixed media. So this is Maginaturalist Sketchbook Aya. And this is ink. Yay! So save. And next time I make one of these, I'm going to have to remember to change the date because it's going to be 2025. Wow! Actually, I'm going to check something real quick. Postcard files. Okay, good. I did write out the full title. Maginaturalist Sketchbook, Da. And so we've got Maginaturalist's Sketchbook, Aya. Alright. We're out time, so let's call it good there. Yeah, it feels so good to finish something right on time. Finish a project right at the end of the stream window. It's awesome. So I'll be back tomorrow with Chibi Friday. I'm going to resume work on my Chibi food buttons. I actually have a big change to make to the visual design. I thought of something that'll make them look even better. So that's what I'll be working on tomorrow. I hope to see you then. That's it for me today. Thank you for watching.